Yes, thank you again. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. And this item refers to the disposition and development of former Community Redevelopment Agency assets. That's an oxymoron, isn't it? Redevelopment Agency assets. So, especially considering the action taken yesterday by the county and the city in this homeless initiative, you know, community redevelopment was supposed to provide low-cost homes and low-cost this and housing for low-income families. That never really happened. I mean, I remember $130 million going to the Broad Museum, low-cost family, but these practices that you use for the redevelopment of redevelopment assets, I believe when the agency was disbanded by the governor, the former mayor of L.A., what was his name, Antonio Villaraigosa, mentioned the city was going to lose $900 million in redevelopment funding. Never heard that number again. So what are the parameters for this redevelopment business? You know, there's parcels down by Staples Center that were redevelopment properties that ended up going to AEG as part of the stadium development deal that fell through. But they still got to keep those parcels. Was that part of the redevelopment agency agenda where they got the free parcels? Now they're building hotels on property that was redevelopment agency property that was given to the corporation to build the stadium that wasn't built. And they're milking that one for millions and millions of dollars. And they'll probably get sales tax revenue sent back to them because of the cost of doing business. It's wonderful, these ideals you have for redevelopment agencies.
Mr. Harris-Dawson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We ask for support for this motion, which is to transfer this property specifically for development of affordable housing in a neighborhood that's becoming very, very tough to develop affordable units in.
Mr. Harris-Dawson. Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Yes, it's a transfer. Property, it's going to cost, affordable housing costs 3 to 5 times as much when the CRA got involved. And I'd like to, a little background on the CRA. 1971, I got up in Berkeley and said, I will bury you. And they all laughed when I said I would bury the CRA. But they're goddamn dead.
Mr. Walsh, you need to speak to the item, sir.
Okay, the South Vermont area, this is the development of the former Community Redevelopment Agency. The shit that comes out of my ass has more power than the CRA does now.
Next speaker, Patricia McAllister, on item 48.
Yes, I support this, of course. This is in the African-American community. Mr. Price and Harris-Dawson, they're African-Americans, last time I checked. And we need more. I complained about this because they didn't have enough. Now, this is for 3685 South Vermont Avenue. And the fact that you tore down Bethune Library, which is a very famous African-American woman, you would never tear down a white library like that. And then who said that this is a bad neighborhood to build something in? If you want to go to a bad neighborhood, you go down there on Wilshire, okay, with all these illegals selling these illegal items. I think we need this and we need more. Price only had about, 50 units. I said units coming up in his district, and I was very angry about that. While Cedilio, who represented illegals, have over 500, and you approved his. So the housing is going to illegals. So I support this, and I also want to see some African-American developers. It says here that the Bethune Library will be added to the list of parcels that will be made available through the release of a request for qualifications to select qualified developers. So I worked with contracts in the city of Chicago, so that's my next job here, is to work on these contracts to make sure that African Americans get their fair share of contracts. It's called the minority program, but they put everybody in the minority program. Humpbacks, black, blonde people, white people, Chinese, when it's supposed to be African Americans. So I'm going to be visiting and looking at these contracts of these affordable units you'll be building, and I want to make sure you have a fair share of African Americans. Now, when I say African Americans, I don't mean Mexicans. I don't mean walking by. I go by some of these construction contracts, and I speak to some of these construction workers. They don't even speak English. So I know they're illegal. So
You
we
need
need
to speak to the
straighten
item, ma'am.
This is the guy. We're talking about developers. I want to make sure these developers hire African Americans, and I will be checking into this.
That concludes cards on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Item passes. We're going to move on to Mr. Krikorian for a presentation.
Thank you, Madam President, and good morning, colleagues. As you all know, this Sunday, Los Angeles will be hosting the Los Angeles Marathon. And I know all of you are athletes, but if you were as sedentary as me, you would be astounded that anybody could run 26 miles around our city. So now, pause for a moment and imagine a distance about 100 times that length. The entire width of the Pacific Ocean, 2,400 miles, and imagine rowing it. Well, that's what Pat Hines is about to do in June, when she participates with Liz Dicus, her rowing partner, as part of Team Ocean Hearts. This two-woman rowing team will compete against 15 teams from all over the world in the Great Pacific International Rowing Race from California to Hawaii on June 4th. Their boat, no sails, no engines, no support boats, everything they need for that journey for 40 days will be on board the rowboat with them. These two women are going to row from California to Hawaii. It's a feat of human endurance that mere mortals like I cannot comprehend at all. But this is not the first time that Pat has done things like this, and I hope she'll tell us about some of her other endurance endeavors. Many of you know Pat because of her great work that she does with Safe Moves in making pedestrian safety and bicycle safety more important, more accessible to our school kids around Los Angeles. She's embarking on this mission in order to help spread the word about women's heart health. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But before we do, why don't we have a brief video about the race. So let's go ahead and put that up so you can see what Pat's about to embark upon. So I was speaking to Pat a moment ago, and she was telling me about swimming the English Channel and doing these other amazing things. And she said, yeah, but this is probably going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. I said, this is probably the hardest thing that any human being has ever done. So, but the reason that she's doing it, and Liz, her rowing partner, are doing it, is to raise, in partnership with the American Heart Association, to raise awareness about the Go Red for Women campaign. As many of you know, February is American Heart Health Month, and this is a great opportunity for us to stop, think about how we can spread the message about heart health. Every 80 seconds, in the United States, a woman dies from some form of heart disease every 80 seconds. Nearly 43 million women are affected by heart disease and may not even know it, resulting in more than 400,000 deaths each year. So this journey is going to be not only a tremendous inspiration to people around the world as an example of the capability of human endurance and commitment, but it's also going to help save lives by increasing awareness about heart health. So with that, I'd like to present to you the representative of the City of Los Angeles in the Great Pacific Rowing Competition, Pat Hines.
Thank you very much. When you hear the facts of 1 out of 4 women will die of heart disease, it's pretty dramatic. Since we started this endeavor, we have reached out to over 250,000 women. 11 of those women who've reached out to went to get checked and avoided a heart attack through awareness of knowing the dangers of women's heart attacks and stroke. It's interesting. I'm going to be rowing for 40 days. We hope to set the record in 40 days. But knowing what you do for a living, I think we're on par for our endurance and commitment to what we're doing. So I appreciate you taking the time to honor us and to acknowledge Heart Month for the American Heart Association. Thank you very much. Oh, I'd like to introduce my son, Will Rose Hines, and my daughter, Nora Rose Hines.
Please stand to be recognized. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Pat, and we want to congratulate you, and on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, in advance, we want to congratulate you on your incredible achievement and present you with this resolution, and thank you for not only all you're doing for our kids every day with Safe Moves, but also what you're doing for women throughout the country with this journey as well. Thank you very much, and congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mrs. Hine, and good luck to you. We're going to move on to items 29 and 30. We're going to take those up together, Mr. Clerk.
29 and 30 called special for Councilmember Cedillo.
Mr. Cedillo?
Members, this is the end to a work product of over a year plus. We all recall the incredible report that we received from Dr. Lucy Jones, talking to us about the dangers of earthquakes, the impact on our housing and quality of life. Perhaps the greatest threat to affordable housing would be an earthquake today, because it would leave tens of thousands of Angelenos without a place to stay. And as a result of that, we filled the void of leadership and stepped forward to ensure that we have the largest city with a retrofit ordinance moving forward to protect all Angelenos. This applies to all pre-1978 wood frame soft story buildings, and this lays out a program for which they can implement the requirements to make sure that every building is retrofitted in the city of Los Angeles. There's a 7-year limit for them to get the work done. It lays out the program for which it will happen. Of course, as we heard yesterday, it's always a question of cost. Who will pay for this? And unlike San Francisco, we made a commitment to make sure that the tenants, the renters of this city, would not bear the whole burden. In fact, I recall specifically walking into the meeting room, a room filled with incredible tension and stress and anger, because a rumor had spread that the tenants were going to have to bear the whole burden. And we made it very clear at that moment, assured all that that would not be the case. And so after months of work, meetings, negotiations, collaboration, I want to thank HCID, I want to thank the tenants, I want to thank the Coalition for Economic Survival, and I want to thank AGLA, the Apartment Association, because they've come to a settlement in which every single person has agreed. There is a 50-50 agreement. The costs will be shared, and there's a cap, and those costs will not exceed $38. And so we've assured everyone that there'll be shared commitment to this program. We did all that we could last year to make sure that resources were available. Financing is available through the PACE program. We have half a dozen financial institutions prepared to step forward and assist building owners with the resources to accomplish this. And so finally, thank you, City Attorney. We are at the point now that we are ready to move this forward. I'd like to move this forward now. We have public comment from...
No, public comment has been satisfied on both items, Mr. Cedillo.
You know, we were asking the CES, one of the partners to this, was we were asking for them to speak on this matter. If we could give them a
Are they
minute.
here?
Alan?
Here he is.
Is this CES?
Yeah.
Carlos Aguilar?
Yes. Carlos Aguilar, Coalition for Economic Survival. This is a compromise worked out by tenant and landlord groups and the Housing Department working with Council Member Cedillo's office. Frankly, we don't like the idea of tenants who already can't afford their rents to pay $1 more. But without this action, tenants faced paying 100% of landlord seismic costs and a $75 a month rent increase. A 50-50 cost split with a $38 cap is far better than that. Landlords will still come out ahead with cost recovery upon vacancies, tax write-offs, and property value increases. But tenants will substantially get less of an increase and hopefully a safer home. Thus, we urge approval of this proposal. But we also urge other funding still be sought to help offset landlord costs, thus lowering the pass-through to tenants. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker on item 29, Oscar Mohammed. Are you here, sir?
My name is Oscar Muhammad. Speak for the oppressed, speak for the struggling poor. We should end racism in politics. Political politics do not represent Black America. We should turn our attention. The Black America should turn their attention to the religion of Al-Islam and the religion in the Black leadership.
Mr. Muhammad, you need to speak to the item.
Okay, but item is about homeless and houseless. We should remove African American from downtown Skid Row. We need more responsibility. We need jobs. We should build more affordable housing. We should have a religious authority in the Black community. The Islamic Muslims should have more authority in directing the life of Black people, though, for housing and for education. We need better leadership in America. We need better leadership in Los Angeles. We need accountability in Los Angeles. We should turn the government from the hand of the unrighteous.
Mr. Muhammad, you're not speaking on the item. Item 29 has to do with systemic retrofit.
There's a connection to item 29. There's a connection. It's just not a straight point. We should arrive to some type of connection to make a decision. Where we're going wrong in our situation at. We have fallen so much. We should end immoral government. We should more government bring more inequality.
Mr. Muhammad, I don't mean to cut you off, but you're not speaking on the item, and we need to move on. Thank you. That concludes That concludes cards on both items 29 and 30. Mr. Cedillo, do you want to close?
Yes, members, I ask you to honor the incredible compromise that was put together by all the interested parties. They've worked hard. This represents something that is unique in the experiences here. All parties with contrary views coming together to reach a consensus and to reach an agreement. We should honor that by voting yes and moving this matter forthwith. Ask for an
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, both items pass. Let's move on to
forthwith
for Mr. Cedillo. Mr. O'Farrell.
I would ask that we reconsider item 24 because it actually needs to be continued to April 12th and not 6th. Item 24.
2 votes. Let's vote on reconsideration. Let's open the roll, Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, you want this item to be
consider it
moved?
till April 12th.
April 12th, item 24. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, now let's move on to item 33.
Item 33, called special for Councilmember Buscaino.
Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Madam President. Call this item for a verbal amendment, and we need to change the verbiage on specifically dealing with the parking lot at 462 West 9th Street. It should read, replace the RFI request for inquiries to an RFP request for proposal. In light of, we've been laser focused on these 3 surface parking lots in downtown San Pedro in our ongoing effort to revitalize the downtown core, in addition to the LA waterfront projects to seek more housing, mixed-use housing in the downtown San Pedro area. So again, we need to replace the RFI with an RFP specifically for the 462 West 9th Street surface parking lot.
Very good, sir.
Okay. Yes. So I just ask that we approve this as amended.
Okay, let's move on. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote on item 33 as amended.
15 ayes.
Public comment has been satisfied on this item, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Previn, we've satisfied public comment on item 33. And committee.
It was not a substantial change.
Mr. Previn, I understand, Mr. Kokori. Mr. Previn, can you please sit down? We need to move on. Sir, it wasn't a substantial amendment, and that's... Thank you, Mr. Previn. Mr. Previn, I'm going to have you removed. Please sit down, sir. It's your last warning. We're going to move on to item 50.
Mr. Clerk.
Item 50, called special for cards.
Arnold Sachs, item 50. Followed by Wayne Spindler and Mr. Walsh. Mr. Sachs, you have 1 minute remaining.
Yes, I know. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, you know what's interesting about this item in particular is this it's a concession agreement, but it's a 1980 agreement that you're discussing about concession rules. 1980, that's 36 years ago. You had a process a couple of years ago where you're going to privatize the zoo. You were going to do all this. You're going to do that. You were going to do a bunch of different stuff to create funding for the city. You never addressed this 1980 agreement. So, I mean, I understand that you're busy with presentations and the like, and the homeless initiative and funding for sidewalks and all other kinds of crap. But if you're going to privatize a zoo, you'd think you'd want to look at an agreement from 1980. And what's in that 1980 agreement? Will that be part of the new labor agreement, you know, the minimum wage?
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. The next speaker is Wayne Spindler, followed by Mr. Walsh. Mr. Wayne Spindler passes on item 50. Let's move on to Mr. Walsh and Mr. Previn.
John Walsh at HollywoodHighlands.org. This is the LA Zoo concessions contract. It's a license to print money. It's a license. There's no competition. If you want a candy bar, you're in the middle of Griffith Park. You have to buy it. The prices are absolutely absurd. The kind of corruption that goes on and who gets the contract. In fact, here in the agenda, it doesn't even tell you who gets the contract. You have to research to find out who gets the damn contract. Everything in L.A. is corrupt. And this, again, this contract for concessions, when you go to the zoo and you spend $9 on Cracker Jacks, remember, $8 goes into a corrupt politician's pocket.
Next speaker is Mr. Previn, followed by Michael Hunt. Item 50, sir.
5-0?
That's correct.
Thank you. It is
That's
Eric
5-0.
Previn from the 2nd District. This is the zoo and their revenue off of the concessions. There are concessions, as we do. Am I on the right item? Dion, you're looking at me like, why is he? Okay, sorry. Anyway, I like the zoo. I'm a regular attendee. I was there recently. As you know, the zoo has two teams, sort of the ordinary city employees and then the VIPs. And I had a great visit, and I got to go in a little early, check out some of the great sites. It's really they've done a really good job of bringing it up to kind of, I wouldn't say we're catching the San Diego Zoo yet, but we're nipping at the heels. And I know that you've all been involved in helping with the marketing of that because it is a great way to get people here into the town. And to experience many of the Los Angeles great stuff. And obviously this is a great opportunity to sell some hats. Just 1 second. Yes, Mr. Ross, I will call you back.
Mr. Previn, you cannot take calls when you're in the middle of your
the city attorney needs to be
speaking
updated
item on
about the
item
violation of the Brown Act. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, thank you. So, getting back to the zoo, I just want to say that these guys have done a great job. The hats I particularly like the ones of the otter. If you've ever been over with the otters, they are so sweet. They have like it's almost like a fishbowl, and the otters swim over and they slide down, and it's fantastic. And then at the end, you can get a little hat. It is about 15 or 18, but look, this is good stuff. And we've got mugs. There's a whole variety of merchandise that is available. And the beauty of it is that the city gets a fair shake once you ask about how much they've been making and what the split is. And I would encourage you to look at those numbers closely. Do not benchmark them with England or Knabe and Allen against the American Golf numbers, because that little pro shop has a very favorable deal. We are the city of Los Angeles. We know how to get our share from our public, as we've seen from your work, but also from ordinary people who want a hat. So let's just make sure we are getting that, and then we can put it back into the city side where the workers are doing a great job of keeping the place in good use. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Next speaker, Mr. Hunt.
VoteHunt2016.com. Let me tell you why. This is for the zoos. The candy concession for the zoos. The kids, I think that we should lower the price on the candies and Cracker Jacks and everything so it can be affordable for the kids can come. Not only that, the zoos, a part of Los Angeles, should be afforded the affordable act of buying reasonable concessions or snacks at the concession stand. This is why you want to vote Hunt2016.com for Senate so I can lower the prices. The Red Chief Hunt, Madam President, love to see you up there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hunt. That concludes cards on item 50. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Item passes. Mr. Krikorian, let's take up item 52 first.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Budget and Finance considered both items 52 and 53. Item 52 is the recommendation is to pay based on a jury verdict. Item 53 is a settlement proposal. Both of those matters can be considered in open session unless members have questions or concerns, and Budget and Finance recommends approval of the City Attorney's recommendations on both.
So let's take up item 52 and 53. Mr. Clerk.
Very good. For item 52, in the case entitled James Duffy versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $3,784,597.34 plus accrued interest and settlement. For item 53, in the case entitled Jonathan Christian versus Officer Brett Rutkowski et al., there is a recommendation to expend $2.4 million in settlement.